Alright, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the Control Academy. I am your host Marshall, and I'm here today with a deck that's pretty spicy. I have been dipping in and out of Alchemy here or there, and during the Arena Open for January, I did play some Alchemy in an effort to practice for that tournament. I didn't really find a deck that I was super happy with, which is why I didn't stream the event until I found this one, but it was a little bit too late to go nuts on it. And it's very similar to the Dragons deck that we played a few weeks ago, but it's much more combo-centric. And I have been looking for a reason to play VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD for ages, and there are some historic decks that seem really, really cool with this card. But I haven't really found a great place for it in Standard. But Alchemy, we can actually play some cool tricks to be able to get there. And there's probably a Standard version of this deck that's a little bit more convoluted. But just in general, I have been really impressed with how this deck works. And it's a lot of fun. And so if you want to just go and play some crazy Boros games in Alchemy, this is a really fun deck to do it with. So VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD. One of the Elder Dragons from Strixhaven, flying, vigilance, haste, 5/5 for 7. You know, not too bad, but the important thing about it is that it's a spell slinger for all intents and purposes. Whenever it attacks, you get to look at the top 7 cards of your library, and you can cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value equal to or less than VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD's power from among them without paying its mana cost, and you put the rest on the bottom of your library. So essentially, just out of the box, you can play a 5-cost spell, you know, just from that on its own. And if you pump up Lorehold, then you can do even more. And it's 7 mana to cast this. You know, it does have haste, it has vigilance, you know, so it's decent, but it's really, really important that you get value off of this one. And what's nice is that in Alchemy, we can kind of cheat this a little bit with Fearsome Whelp. And so this gives us the opportunity to cast it a little bit cheaper, pressure with some of our other dragons more quickly. And so the real combo here is that we can cast Angelfire Ignition, Kaya's Onslaught, and Alchemist Gambit off of VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD. And so what's really cool is that Angelfire Ignition puts +1/+1 counters on it, so you can keep churning through the deck. Kaya's Onslaught gives it +1/+1 and double strike, and then obviously Alchemist Gambit lets you take an extra turn, with the caveat that if you cast it off of VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD, that is the only turn you get left. We do run Temple of the Dragon Queen, so we can foreseeably cleave this if we want to just run it as a regular extra turn spell. But this is largely there to basically just let us get that one last combat step in to finish off the game. Otherwise, here we've got removal. Dragon's Fire is probably the best thing you're going to get in a dragon deck. I mentioned Fearsome Whelp as ramp. Same thing with Orb of Dragonkind. We've got Moonveil Regent and Townraiser Tyrant and a Goldspan Dragon because, of course, we do. They're the best dragons that we have access to in red-white, and they get discounted by Fearsome Whelp. And then our mana base is pretty straightforward. We've got Den of the Bugbear, which is a nice creature land to have access to here. What ends up being reasonably meaningful toward the later turns of the game, if the game drags on, is that you can actually activate this last ability multiple times to be able to get multiple goblins off of a single attack. And so if you're looking for a way to sink the mana that you built up over the course of a game into that last sort of explosive turn, especially if you know you're going to cast an Alchemist Gambit, this can be a way to get those last few attackers on board. Otherwise, we got flip lands, we got Sundown Pass. I mentioned Temple of the Dragon Queen. This lets us fix our mana and get that blue mana if we do want to cleave Alchemist Gambit. Otherwise, let's go ahead and see if we can combo some people off and have some fun in Alchemy. All right, our first opponent is Martin. All right, straight and to the point name. Let's do this. All right, our first opening hand has removal, doesn't have any ramp, but honestly this is fine. I'm not thrilled about it, but we'll make it work. Alright, looks like... Okay, that's not the worst. Let's go ahead and put Indestructible Plains, skewer what we're doing a little tiny bit. Against Mono Black, we're going to have to fight through a good amount of removal, but that's not what I expected. Alright. Well, we'll see what happens here then. Looks like we'll at least get one activation off of this Fearsome Whelp, which is actually enough to get us pretty far here. Eventually I'll want to foretell this Kaya's Onslaught, but no, they can have their 3 damage. No problemo. Fell Stinger, not surprising. So, let's create blood. Huh. I'm not familiar enough with the entire Alchemy metagame to know precisely what's going on here, if I'm being completely honest. Necrotic Fumes seems legit. Let's drop a Sundown Pass. And then here, we can't really multi-spell in a way that I'm happy with, so let's go ahead and Moonveil Regent. Go ahead and get that on the board. And then why not we get in for one with the Fearsome Whelp, because Lord knows I'm not going to block with it. I'm going to take 3. Don't particularly like the idea of taking unnecessary damage from that. But we should be able to get pretty close to emptying our hand next turn, honestly. It's going to be, not the world's straightforward way of doing it, but the Goldspan Dragon making... okay, never mind. Well, still, we should be able to do a whole lot of things, but really I think they should have been focusing on this Fearsome Whelp. Sundown Pass. We'll go ahead and Goldspan Dragon. Move to combat. Attack. And will they block? Damage. Alright. With this Blood Caster, it's going to be a while before this flips, and I do want to make sure I kill that before it flips. But for right now, since this Goldspan is going to get even cheaper next turn, I'm going to foretell this Kaya's Onslaught, and next turn we're set up for a pretty explosive turn. Okay, Sanguine Brushstroke. So the real question here is, do I want to cash in my Fearsome Whelp? I'm not going to. We've got the Dragon's Fire, so it's okay. My turn, because we should be able to do a fair bit of damage here. Let's go ahead and decline this, and then I'm going to put this on red. We've got plenty of red. I'm going to go ahead and put on blue just for the hell of it. Let's go ahead and drop a very cheap Goldspan Dragon. Gotta love that. Part of keeping Fearsome Whelp around is that if we ever do draw a... oh, this is annoying. If we ever do draw a... what am I doing? This is... yeah, choose a dragon you control, target creature, like that. If we ever do draw a Lorehold, this will help us march to it a little bit more quickly. It's annoying that they've killed that Goldspan Dragon, but ultimately it's not the end of the world. Now, unfortunately, with them gaining that life, you can't just straight up kill them here, so because Kaya's Onslaught does give +1/+1, so we can do 11 damage here. That's not quite enough, so I'm going to go ahead and just take the 5. and hope that we're able to close it out next turn. Fell Stinger. Alright, go ahead and attack with your 0/1. I'm fine with that. Alright, now, as long, well, okay, there's a high probability that they have removal in their hand, so can't get too cocky yet, but let's see what happens when we attack. Alright, let's see what happens. Honestly, I should have targeted the Fearsome Whelp, because they're probably going to want to find a removal spell for the Goldspan Dragon anyway, so it kind of hedges against it, but it's fine. We got there anyway, I think. Yes. All right. Good game, Martin. All right, next opponent up in the arena is Boros 675. Good luck. Alright, well, this hand is aggressively bad, so we're going to mulligan that. This one is also pretty bad. Going to 5. This one's still pretty awful, but at least it's keepable. Put Kaya's Onslaught and this. So here's the thing. Dragon's Fire and Fearsome Whelp are basically where we want to be. And so realistically, I should put VELOMACHUS to the bottom, but it's our main combo piece, and so I could put Goldspan to the bottom. That's not great. I'm going to YOLO this, put Dragon's Fire to the bottom, and just hope for the best. Well, if there was any deck that was going to just leave us alone for a little bit, this was going to be it. Let's feel the Whelp. I need this on red mana. Play the Whelp. And get the discount. Drawing the Orb of Dragonkind isn't awful, since there is a very high probability that they're going to fight and kill this Whelp with something. Or apparently burn it out, since this is the red version. This Fearsome Whelp is probably not going to stick around. Oh, okay, someone is feeling nice to us. Double Whelp? We might be swinging with Lorehold sooner than we thought. If this somehow works, I did not deserve this. It's too early to get too excited, but we're pretty close to untapping with a 2-mana VELOMACHUS Lorehold, so yabba dabba doo. Get the treasure and cash in for an Orb of Dragonkind. That actually probably wasn't quite correct. In reality, I could have kept that treasure to maybe get some value off Angel Fire Ignition, but as long as they don't kill us this turn, we're going to have some game. Okay, that is not great. Oh. Will it really matter? You know what? We're not going to live past this turn anyway, so I'm going to take damage. And we'll see what happens. So we got a land. Cool. Here's a VELOMACHUS Lorehold. I should have forced it to tap the Orb of Dragonkind. Gosh darn it. So It's okay. They scooped it! We got there! Oh, what am I doing? I had lethal on board before doing any shenanigans. Okay, cool. GG. Did not deserve that win. Alright, next opponent up is Primate. Good luck, Primate. I could have asked for better, but this will work. Oh, alright, well that is indeed getting better. The fact that our opponent's on blue is maybe not super encouraging, but hopefully we can just kill them really quick and it won't matter. Okay, not the best draw, but seems decent. Haha, discounted Fearsome Whelp. Geist Channeler. Okay. That seems decent. Alright. Let's go Fearsome Whelp. And we'll kill that, because why not? And attack. Alright, boys, that's some cheap Goldspans. Unfortunately, unless we draw a red source, we won't be able to cast both of them before combat next turn, but they don't get them cheaper than this. If you do draw a red source, then we can actually just straight up win if they tap out. So here's hoping, I guess. They did not tap out, so and we did not draw a red source, so we're okay. We're not going to be tempted into going too nutso here, I guess. What you got, opponent? Alright. Ooh, okay. So here we've got them tapped out, which is interesting. I'm gonna deal 6, and then if we Goldspan. Alright, so let's do this. 6, we'll put them to 13. If we Alchemist Gambit here, then next turn we can do 6, 10. It's not enough. We'd have to draw something really great. So let's not tempt fate. Just pass the turn. I got greedy with Lorehold in a previous game, and I'd rather not... See? Okay. Well, yeah. Rather not risk things unnecessarily. And, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a huge reward, but that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and do 6 damage. Attack. And actually now, I think it makes sense, because, yeah, next turn we can Angel Fire Ignition, so let's take an extra turn. Don't think Force of Will is an alchemy. Now we untap. There's my boy. And we got there. Alright. See, Alchemist Gambit is fine to cast from hand every so often. Alright. Udaf 38. Welcome to the arena. Good luck. Alright, so we've got a Fearsome Whelp. We've got these in hand, which isn't ideal, but maybe, just maybe, we can get out a cheap Goldspan, and that was good enough in the last game, so YOLO. I feel like I've been going first more often in Alchemy, but it's probably just bias in how I'm thinking. Let's see how many turns this Fearsome Whelp can live for. If our opponent has decided to run Shock, I will be sad. They're running Shock. Or Play with Fire. Oh well. I don't think I could have mulliganed that hand. Like, this is pretty solid, all things considered. Let's see. Temple of the Dragon Queen, don't reveal. You know, I've got an Alchemist Gambit in hand, so I could justify going for blue. Let's go for blue. Why not? If nothing else, we'll keep them on their toes. Foretell something. Maybe they'll think we've got Alred's Epiphany. Which is actually not great in Alchemy anyway. The downside here is that the Feral Outlaw is not... Oh, they took our Lorehold. Oh, gosh. Well, for what it's worth, those are two cards I wasn't particularly hot on the idea of drawing anyway, so... I suspect that Orb of Dragonkind is probably not super useful to them anyway. Probably scratching their head over why on earth we're playing that. Let's go with a Mountain and Tauren Razor Tyrant. Just hit their green source and hope it's good enough. Oh, they're dual land, rather. See, when this deck has to play fairly, I'm a little bit less happy about it. Now, here, I could cash in the Town Razor. That's probably a good enough call. Yeah, let's do that. Because then I can potentially Leo Kaya's Onslaught with a Goldspan Dragon, but losing more cards to the Rahilda is not really where I want to be. Especially when they've got a second one. Alright. Cool. At least we've got plenty of ways to roast the crap out of it, though. Deal some damage. And then, let's see what they choose to do. Getting close to the point where Kaya's Onslaught's just gonna be a straight up kill spell. Actually, it's with double strike, that's actually pretty darn close. Because we've got an extra turn spell. Let's choose a dragon I control. Auto pay. So let's see. I can crack for as well. Alright, well, we'll see what they get. If nothing changes from the current board state, then oh, they can actually cast that Goldspan, so things are probably going to change. Alright, I was going to say, if nothing changes from the current board state, then looking at we were looking at 12 damage over the course of 2 turns, so that would have been cool, but then they got our Goldspan. So let's go ahead to attackers and let's see what they choose to do. If they just want to, if they just trade, then yeah, I gotta use the Kaya's Onslaught here. Just sad. And it's actually interesting, is because of the Temple of Dragon Queen, we can actually cleave an Alchemist Gambit next turn, and then, I mean, cleave 2 of them in a row, potentially, so, if they don't kill our Goldspan, we're not in awful shape. We are very close to dying, but we're you know, things could be going worse. Orb of Dragonkind betrayed us. Alright, this is probably where we die. Instead of doing... Okay, well, I don't know. We can do 6. This doesn't have double strike anymore, so... There's that. Dragon's Fire, okay. At least at their current board configuration, that ain't gonna be good enough. Yeah, that's 7 to cleave. Yeah, I could take 3 turns in a row, so... Unfortunately, they're now going to have a blocker, which is not ideal. All right. Yep. Take my turn. Play a mountain. Combat, attack, all right, let's cleave it, auto pay. What else you got? Turn. Okay, maybe we got there. Just take a whole bunch of turns in a row. See, the game's easy when you play against a goldfish. All right. And they're probably sitting there thinking, there's no way, no possible way that they could have another one, right? Like, how could they have possibly drawn 3 Alchemist Gambit in literally the only time that this pilot has ever been able to successfully cleave them? And not just cleave them, but go back to back to back to back to back. Now, I could cast that Orb of Dragonkind, but I'm not going to play with my food. Unless my opponent has been sitting on a real nasty answer. This is it. That being said, okay, there you go. I was going to say, if they were sandbagging an answer for God knows what reason, I was going to feel real silly for not having played that. But we got there. All right, so this week we played Dragon Gambit, and this deck is a lot of fun. Sometimes it just loses, and you know, you got to deal with that. There are other times where it just snags wins out of nowhere. And you know, VELOMACHUS LOREHOLD puts you in these interesting positions where you just kind of gotta, you know, gamble sometimes. Literally take the Alchemist gamble. But, you know, as far as extra turn spells go, especially in Alchemy, Alchemist Gambit seems like a pretty fair one of them to play. But sometimes it just leads to some crazy finishes where you're just so close to dead, and then, boom, your opponent never untaps, and you're swinging with big, chunky dragons. Honestly, I don't think I changed a lot about this deck. It's a combo deck. It has the exact amount of interaction that it can afford to play, and past that, it's basically, and its answer to any deck that wants to fight it is, I've got to take your life to 0 before you can set things up. So if our opponent has decent removal, that can be a problem. But honestly, the fact that this deck can kind of come out of, nowhere with discounted dragons and kill means that removal is sometimes it's just not good enough. The biggest place where you will win or lose with this deck most often is during mulligans. Keep a hand that is too fragile, and boom, you're done right there. Keep a hand where you haven't set yourself up to actually be able to do anything in the first couple turns, and it's over. This is why I say, for all intents and purposes, you need to have at least one of these 2-drop spells in any given open hand. You either need to have some interactions to buy yourself some time against the creature decks, or some ramp to get you there, and then some number of creatures over here. With the previous version of the deck, it was easy to make recommendations about other dragons that are worth prioritizing. Honestly, Moonveil Regent and Town-Raised Tyrant are close to irrelevant in this deck. They exist to be our dragons, 5 through 12. And so sometimes they help in the pursuit of closing out the game or drawing cards. And so keeping hands with these is kind of just about whether or not it's better than going down another card. Really, you want to prioritize Goldspan because they have haste and they create mana and they enable the ability to do a lot of these other crazy maneuvers, and Lorehold. It's not imperative that he's in your open hand, but we've won plenty of games with just Goldspan, but Lorehold is what makes this version of the deck worth rolling the dice on for those ones. But yeah, it's a fun deck. If you already have a lot of the dragon parts, it doesn't cost a lot to craft the things that are missing relative to the sort of meta dragon deck. So give it a go, and good luck, and may your gambits go in your favor. See you next time.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one.